Welcome to another episode of Into the Pot, the weekly show where I review different pieces of media, what they meant to me, and how they've changed and added flavor to the stew of my life. Today we're talking about Project Hail Mary. As always, I'll start off with a spoiler free look at what I thought was good, then what I thought was bad, and finish off with spoilers to discuss the themes and details that resonated with me. With that in mind, let's start off with the good. Project Hail Mary is a masterpiece of a movie. It is super fun. The visuals are gorgeous. The overall plot is endearing, it's very sweet, and just a fun time. It's rare to find a movie that just focuses on fun. And even though the plot is something about a doomed future, it really hammers in a fun, entertaining, and exciting watch. I totally loved it. And as a person who listens to the audiobook, I will say it was a very faithful adaptation. I thought Ryan Gosling did a fantastic job. I thought Strand was like the perfect casting. I thought everything about the movie was done really well, surpassing a lot of my expectations, especially visually, because that movie was a delight. The soundtrack too was also really good. Daniel Pemberton, who did the Into the Spider-Verse soundtracks too, was a genius. It was so exciting, and listening to the soundtrack after the movie had finished was incredible. I love all the different songs that they were able to create, and it felt like the movie was coming to life. I was seeing everything about the book and what I loved about it being shown on screen, and I was like, oh my god, it was a feast. It was delectable. It was gorgeous. It was fun. It was exciting. I laughed a bunch. I felt, so sad and emotional, even though like I know everything is going on. It was a surreal feeling to see like something that I really enjoyed being shown on the big screen and me knowing everything. Like it was quite emotional. So with that, like everything about the movie was very well done. I'm very surprised and I'm very excited to see more real hard sci-fi movies being made. Hopefully, this shows a general push towards sci-fi because I do love sci-fi, especially when done really well and focusing on the characters because the worlds in sci-fi are always fantastic and amazing to explore scientifically, but the characters are at the heart of the story and the feelings that they instill in the audience are unmatched compared to any science. Now that the good is out of the way, let's discuss the bad. And there is quite a bit of bad, mainly from a book perspective. To be honest, if I had not listened to the audiobook beforehand, which was a gorgeous listen, if you love this movie, listen to the audiobook. It enhances everything so much. And I love the audiobook so, so much. Ray Porter was a fantastic narrator. That being said, with the book being such a high standard, the movie fell a little flat. The faithful adaptation that it was great, but it was missing several key things that I really would have appreciated if they had added it in. Though there were some scenes cut from the movie that were in the book, I don't necessarily mind many of the cuts. I think it would have been really cool to see them, nuking Antarctica, them building the solar panel astrophage farm in the Sahara Desert, you know, Ryan Gosling, Ryland Grace. Wow, those names are so similar. Just hitting me now. But Ryland Grace going and saving Rocky when he was still in there, going to the habitat and getting some burns. And stuff. Like there's just small details that if you don't know about it from the book, it would have enhanced the experience. And I think the biggest one that I personally disliked that they cut so much of it was the science. There was science, but it was so light in the science. It didn't make me feel like I was reading the book at all, learning all the experiments and stuff. And someone who has studied chemistry in school, the science was pretty easy for me to follow. It was science light in the book. It was very heavy on experiments, on the whole scientific method, the learning process of it. And as someone who loves to learn and, made the whole channel about teaching everyone and having you all as my students, it felt a little flat. And I don't like that about the movie. I feel like it should have expanded a little bit more on the science aspect. And I know for the sake of time, they had to cut some things. Like, let's be honest, when Rocky and Ryland Grace are learning each other's language, that part felt, wow, he can already understand everything. It felt pretty fast. And then like the Talmiba at the end, where he has to do the science to experience to figure out how that was happening. So like a lot of it was just done like boom, science was done. And there wasn't really too much intricate details that I genuinely loved from the book. And that's just like a personal opinion because the science in the movie is still there, but it's a very streamlined version of it. It if you don't know anything about science, I feel like you could have easily understood the general plot, and they do a great job of hitting the big plot points. But if you weren't up to par with the science of it, like you would be like, I don't know what they're doing, let's get on with it. But for me, I would have wished that they would have expanded upon it more just because I like the science. I love science. It's amazing. So that's like my biggest fault. Also, some of the things in the movie, like I did not expect to happen in a certain way. There's a lot of moments of the flashing lights, and it was very hard to see what was happening at certain parts. And the whole narrative, like if I had not known the narrative from the book, I think I would have been a little teensy bit lost because it does go fast through all the motions. And like, Rocky communicating with Rylan just all of a sudden, you were like, oh, okay, I guess they can do this, right? There's some signs, and there's like, oh, we need to spin the ship for the centrifuge to restore gravity. That part is like really quick. And especially like the whole process of him learning who he was. And he's like, oh, I'm a teacher. And him going like to the classroom in like several scenes in the book was like streamlined to just like one in the movie. And that was like one of my favorite parts of the movie was being able to see him in the classroom and being able to see him teach, or at least in the book. I loved those scenes when he was in the classroom. So overall, I understand that they had to cut a lot of things to streamline it to make it available for a wider audience, but it just does not hit as well as the book did. And to be honest, like it doesn't feel as serious at times, even though I think both book and movie were genuinely funny. The book did feel a little bit more serious, whereas the movie felt a little bit more kiddish. Especially Rocky, who is so small. I did not picture Rocky small. I pictured him like maybe half or like maybe close to like the full size of a human. I don't know. I was not picturing Rocky like Pikachu. I didn't think of Rocky like that. And I understand like there's also this cutifying factor that they can sell more toys and sell Rocky as this little miniature and stuff. So I understand that aspect, but I was not expecting that. But do I complain about that? No, I think Rocky was like a perfect size. I think overall everything visually was super satisfying and so faithful to the novel. But finally, let's talk about the themes and the details that resonated with me, and beware there will be spoilers about the narrative ahead. So, Project Hail Mary is a story that I truly love, especially how it makes me feel optimistic and hopeful for humanity. That in the case that we are faced with a life extinction event, the world comes together to save itself, to work on things very, very difficult that we will eventually benefit from working together. Now, I know the movie does have a weird feel where the whole Project Hail Mary project wasn't well received. There was some laws that were broken, there were some problems that happened, and I think Strand does get arrested. People were talking about her tattoo, which was showing that she was in prison. And though I don't particularly like that scene, I wish we didn't see Earth after, Rylan Grace helps Rocky. I wish we that left it completely ambiguous, just like the novel. It was a little weird, and considering that she was like in jail for all that she did, it's like that's weird. I truly believe that humanity and its optimism will triumph over everything, but I know that our world right now is just so fractured and people just feel so like done and careless that watching this movie, seeing how people really care to make a difference, to save ourselves, to save the world, to save the universe from astrophage, it fills me with hope. And it does the same thing like something like Superman did. Like it fills you with hope. It reminds you that there is good out there. Not that there is no evil in the world, but that even though there is evil, there is still good. And I feel like we need a hell of a lot more of that because, goddamn, times are tough. And I understand everything is very tough, but we need a lot more hope. And also, I don't like that they spoiled Rocky's appearance in the trailers and everything. I understand from a marketing perspective, but reading the book, I was like, oh my God, like this was not at all what I expected it to be. And at the heart of it is just a scientific buddy cop movie. And I love that. Rocky was so funny. Their dynamic was so lovely. And by the end of it, like him, still teaching and seeing all the rocks raise their claws in the air, it's like that's such a heartwarming moment. I remember finishing that part in the book and just feeling all this emotion about how sweet and how beautiful that story was. So I really love it. I really love the hope. I really love the care. I love the science of it. And I just want more hope in this world. So, with all that in mind, I would give the movie Project Hail Mary an 8 out of 10. I love the book, and I would have definitely give the book a 9 out of 10, but the movie felt a little flat, though very faithful. So that would be at an 8 out of 10. So there you have it. I give you my thoughts and opinions about what Project Hail Mary meant to me. And now I want to hear what you all think about it down in the comments. Do you agree or disagree with my opinions and the general consensus about it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, consider dropping a like and subscribing for more. As always, check the links in my description for my main video essay channel and my Patreon to support the channel and recommend media for me to review next. Thank you all to my current Patreon members whose memberships keep this channel afloat. I am so grateful for your support and for you being here with me. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.